All right, thanks for stopping by again. Today we've got fresh from Sturgis. There's even Sturgis dirt on here. Literally came in today. 2021 114 Road Glide. This one's getting the full treatment today. CR483 Cam, Trask header, Darkhorse Compensator, adjustable push rods from S&S, S&S Intake, 5.5 Injectors, ThunderMax, the whole thing. So we're going to go through this thing with you, and stay tuned. We're going to wipe some of this Sturgis dust off here. Be right back. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the Darkhorse Compensator. All right, so that's going to require us to remove one shifter. All right, we need to get our floorboard out of the way. All right, let's get these quarter 20s off of here. All right, so we need to take our clutch adjuster out of the way. All right.
All right.
Set that down right over here. The adjuster can come out, be put right there. Now, this is reverse threads here. This is regular threads. We always want to maintain this spring adjustment, so we'll just zip tie that off these two little tabs here. That'll give us one less thing to worry about. All right, now 1/2 inch. That could be laid right over here to the side, just like that. We're going to move our gasket out of the way so we don't damage it. And we're going to pull these parts here we don't need any longer. Let that rest just like that for right now. Get these parts out of the way that we do not need any longer. All right, and then we'll get our Darkhorse out. Now let's get your Darkhorse on here, just like so.
Pretty good in there, don't it?
Yeah, it's real nice, real good. Let me see if I can get that lined up, and I did. So without smashing. It is, yes. We'd be done with the comp. Well, 115 inch pounds or inch pounds ain't much, man. I mean, that's pretty much hand tight, really. Goes on here like that. All right, we're now at the point where we're going to go ahead and pull the cam cover, but I wanted to let you know that I went ahead and jumped forward and took the exhaust off, and I wasn't kidding about Sturgis dust. There it is. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this cam chest removal. All right, like always, we want to make sure our tool is well seated. We've got our friendly persuader. We're going to give it a couple of taps to make sure that the seal is broken. We don't need this gasket no mo, so it can come off. We'll set this over here for safekeeping. All right, now what we have to do is we've got to find our timing marks. It's right there. I'm going to go ahead and clean it and mark it so you can see it right here. There's one and there's one, so you can easily see it on video. Okay. All right, so what that tells us is we can pull our push rod keepers out of the way right here. All right, what we're looking for is to be able to spin these push rods. There's one and two. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to take this timing mark and put it 180 degrees out of phase. What that'll do is put the front cylinder top dead center on the compression stroke and let us cut those push rods out. All right, let's check those and see. All right, now we can move on to getting the cam chest out. Okay, so what we're going to do now is remove the chain tensioner. All right. Next, we're going to remove our gear set. That should come right off. We want to keep it together so we don't have to reset it. So just squeeze it in the middle and set it down to the side. And it comes right out, just like that. All right. And we can let the lifters drop out. I believe they'll just drop right down here on these M8s. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right. So we know that this one has the old bearing in it, so it has to be replaced. I'm going to grab my bearing extractor. All right. Now, with any luck, we have all of our rollers, and we do. So we were successful in removing the inner bearing, and as you can see, all the rollers are still in place. So we're good to go there.
All right, it is 4:30 in the morning on Sunday morning. I'm gonna try to get these guys finished up so they can get back to work on Monday, which is tomorrow. So let's see what we got here. All right, so I actually have two bikes in here this morning. The black one belongs to Mike and the white one belongs to Dino. They drove for 2.5 days to get here from Sturgis. As you can see, I've got tools everywhere and parts everywhere. So what I'm gonna do is straighten up a little bit, and we're gonna go ahead and install the cam plate, the push rods, and those kind of things, and finish up on Mike's bike. Okay, let's try to get back into the swing of things. And if my plan went well, we'll be able to put this plate back in. I've got new O-rings here and here. Everything goes just like it's supposed to right there. I'm gonna put a little dab of blue Loctite on these 4 oil pump screws. But I'm not gonna tighten them down just yet. I'm gonna snug them for right now. All right, now we're going to put our outer fasteners on. All right, now these are going to get all torqued at 115 inch-pounds. 115 inch-pounds. Right there. All right.
Okay. Now we can go back on with our gear set. Okay. All right, now we'll go back in with our hardware and our tensioner, and I'll be right back. Okay, the next thing we're going to be doing is changing out our lifters and the lifter cuffs. So let me get going with that right quick and get these tappet covers off. Okay, and we need our friendly persuader again. Get these things knocked loose. Okay, there's one. And two. Okay, here comes the interesting part again. All right, let's see if we can get you a good view of this. Do you see that bolt and that bolt? All right. There are some issues with all these M8s where, if I'm not mistaken, this one breaks all the time because it's Loctited in. So I have found by adding heat, now these are plastic, so it doesn't matter if you hurt them or not, we're replacing them. So I have found that if you add heat to the aluminum part of the crankcase here and heat up that Loctite that the factory put in, your luck of getting this out is much better. You can also apply heat right to the top of the bolt there to help disperse heat down into the threaded hole. Your chances of getting it out are much better. Don't be shy with the heat. Now, if you get some smoky stuff going on with that plastic, it does smell like burnt hair and it stinks. So that's one drawback. Now let's see what happens here. Okay, it's moving. That's what we want. A lot of times if it's moving, it'll stop moving, like right there, because it cooled back down. So let's heat it up again. Stinky, stinky. Let's see what happens here. It's moving, but it's not moving good. But it is turning. So take your time. Don't use any kind of air tool or anything like that. If you have to reheat it 10 times, reheat it. Keep it hot. Let's see if we can get it to come on out. This one's not being a friend to me today. It's not being a friend. All right, so now what I'm going to do there is I'm going to put a little bit of penetrating oil down in there. Hopefully it'll go in. Now let's try and go and turn it the opposite direction just a little bit. Okay, now let's go back the other direction. Just a little bit at a time. All right. This one's going to be stubborn, but this is a perfect example of what I'm trying to explain to you. I could start turning it. I mean, I could start putting some muscle in it for sure, but that's not going to do anything but break that bolt. So let's put some heat back on it. drama continues. Nope, it stopped. All right. The drama continues. You can see it coming out, but it don't want to. Somebody at the factory did not want these to come out. This is a prime example of what can happen if you don't know what you're doing. And I don't know what I'm doing, so don't take it from me. Okay, a little bit more. I know this is a long, drawn-out part of the video, but trust me, if you're going to be doing this, you need to know about it. Come on out, buddy. And of course, the more you can get it out, the less resistant it'll be, because there's less thread contact. All right, hopefully this will do the trick this time. Nope, stopped again. All right, keep going. Wow, stopped again. Okay. You got to be gentle with this. And it's hot, trust me, because my socket's hot. It's going to fight me to the last thread. Don't get in a hurry right there at the end. You don't want to drill and tap that bad boy. I don't think the back one, I don't think that one is as bad. Usually, yeah, it's coming out now. Yep, it's coming out now, so that we were able to get past that one. I can guarantee you that one right there would have broke on somebody. Guarantee it. I'm not going to touch it because it might be hot. It might be hot. Let's see if I can grab it with a rag. Yep. All right, that one's out. It melted my rag. See, it melted the rag right there. The heat. All right, let's try this back one now. Let's go ahead and preheat it. Let's see what happens. Yeah, this one's not so bad. See, it's coming out pretty easy. I'm still going to be easy with it though. Yeah, this one's going to be all right. So apparently somewhere in that factory, whatever's putting the Loctite up here, if it's the same machine or not, let me put some more heat on it. If it's the same machine or not, I don't know. Or the settings or something for that front hole is different from the back hole. Because I've seen this many times. It's always that front one that seems like it don't want to come out. Yeah, heck, that's almost spinning out by itself there. Yeah, we're gonna be okay on that one. All right, so there's your tech tip for the day on M8 tappet cuffs. All right, let's wipe off the leftovers. That's one of the toughest ones I've done. Okay, now let's get the lifter cuffs. Okay, these are marked with an F. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there. F for front. So it'll go up here like so. Get these things oriented correctly. All right, now the trick is to tighten the bolt down at the same time that you move the lifters up and down. You don't want that lifter cuff to impede on the movement of these lifters at all. And it's not difficult to do this. You can do it with a feeler gauge too if you don't have the lifter holders that I have. All right. All right, so now let me show you what I'm talking about. See how these move freely up and down? All right, so what you want to do, just tighten that down, still moving. I do have blue Loctite in there. And see, they move totally freely. Drop on their own. That's what you want. Right there. Good deal. That one's ready to go. Okay. And double checking. They move freely. We got no problems. All right, let's do the back one. All right, now let's double check. They're dropping freely on their own. So we're good to go there. All right, we got our new gaskets on there. S&S gives us new hardware for tappet covers. Real pretty shiny stuff. And it already has Loctite on it. So we're good to go there. All right, we're back to our regularly scheduled angle of view. And I'm going to come up in here and take these old O-rings out. All right, and we've already removed those O-rings. So now it's time to go back in with new. And I always like to spray a little bit of lubricant on them so that everything works good together. All right. Now, the old trick that everybody knows about is to use one of the upper pushrod tubes, put the O-ring on it, put it right in place, just like that. You can do it the other way, just by sticking it up there with your fingers, but this sure does help out. Makes it almost instantaneous. Make sure it's in there. All right, good deal. Okay, now we're going to install the adjustable push rods. So since we stopped on the front cylinder, we're going to go back on the front cylinder and start with the adjustable push rods there. So we'll take one, we'll go into the intake side, all right, and then adjust it down by hand. Spin it down until it touches the lifter. You can grab one of your trusty pushrod tube holders to keep that out of the way. Okay. Now what you want to do is hold what I call the stem steady and take your 7/16 and turn it until it stops. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing around so you can see. See, I've got a blue marker there for you to see. Let's see if you can see it. Yeah, there's a blue marker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin this thing around 24 flats or 4 turns. So if we start spinning that marker around, all right, there's 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns, 4 turns. All right, now let's just let it sit for a minute and bleed down while we come in there with the exhaust. Now I already vacuumed out the air from these in a little vacuum chamber that I've made. I've got a whole video on that. Not a whole video, but a partial video on another video that shows how I vacuum those out. And what that does, it saves a ton of time because it's preloading the lifter with oil so that the bleed down time is basically nothing. Otherwise, it takes a while. I've seen them sit overnight before they bleed down You don't want to do that. That's counterproductive with your work. So look up that video. I think it's the one with that orange colored 117 where I go into detail about how to do it. It's really easy to make it at home with a mason jar and a rim valve stem, the vacuum pump. Ain't no big deal. All right, so I'm just spinning that down till it stops. All right, now we'll grab our secondary push rod tube holder. We'll hold the stem with a 1/4 wrench, and I'm just going to turn this one around until it kind of stops right there. Okay, see the blue marker? Let's go 4 turns again. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, now what we can do is go back here on the back side and see if it's already bled down, and it has. Perfect. All right, so now what we can do is put just a little dab of blue. Don't take much, right there. Now I'm going to spin this nut up there, back and forth a couple times to work that blue Loctite in. All right, I'm going to take my 2 wrenches, both on the 7/16 side, and lock it down. That should work. Now let's check the exhaust side and see if it bled down. Sure did. See how quickly this is going? So my advice is to figure out, if you do this for a living or if you do this often, my advice for you is to put your lifters in a vacuum of oil. Sure does save a lot of time. All right, we're going to lock this one down. I always want to make sure that you get the upper one in exactly where it needs to go, because sometimes you'll get a false indication that this upper part of the push rod tube has seated in the O-ring, and it really hasn't. There, you can see that last little push. It goes right into place. All right, then the keepers go right into place. And now what we can do is move the engine back around so these timing marks touch or meet, if you will. Just spin the motor over real easy. And there they are, right there. Just like that. Now that puts the rear top dead center on the compression stroke. Right there. Okay, now we can put those push rods in. All right, we're done with that. Let's put the cover back on, torque that down, and move on to the exhaust installation. Okay, as you can see, the Trask header is now in place. We're going to go ahead and put the heat shields on, the mufflers on, and our next thing that we're going to do is the intake manifold and injectors. Hang in there. All right, we're about to take the intake manifold out. This is the factory plastic one. The Gen 2s don't have a plastic intake manifold. Theirs is aluminum. Those are not theirs, but those bikes are aluminum, so you don't have to worry about this. This is only for the Gen 1 bikes. And it usually just pops right out. Just like that. I always like to look at the condition of the seals. This one doesn't appear that it was leaking, so I don't think there was a problem there at all, but we're going to eliminate a possible problem for sure. Get rid of these old seals. All right, then we'll remove this manifold. Okay. Set that aside. Now we need to take our fuel rail off. So these injectors can come out and go by the wayside. Sometimes the O-rings will get stuck in there. You got to make sure you get those out because your other injectors won't go down in there far enough. So you got to be careful about that. All right. These are the new 5.5 injectors. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little lubricant on there. And they'll go back into place. Oops. Just like that. Just like that. Now, put a little lubricant on the outside. And we'll take our new manifold. A little bit of lubricant. Put our new injectors in there, just like that. Put the screws back in place. Okay, S&S gives you new O-rings. All right, this big one obviously goes back here, just like that, which goes up against the throttle body. Just like that. Okay, next we're going to put our seals on. These are not labeled front to rear, they're the same. So we'll go in like that. But I do lubricate the new seals so that they'll slip around a little bit. Hopefully not get kinked up when we go back together with it. I'll meet you back over at the bike and we'll get this installed. All right, we're going to go ahead and put the bolts back in place. All right, make sure you plug your injectors back in. Hear them snap. Okay.
Okay.
Before I finally tighten these down, I'm going to put the manifold on, or excuse me, put the breather back on to make sure it all lines up. Then we'll tighten it down. I'm going to go ahead and put back in this map sensor. Just like that. There's one screw that holds it in place. All right, now we're going to plug our throttle body back in. Okay, route our wire back behind here like that. Now let me put the backing plate back on. Now I can go ahead and tighten down the 4 manifold bolts. And we'll finalize tightening down these. And that will only leave us the actual snorkel part. All right, that part's completed. I'm gonna put the tank back on and we'll go forward with the ThunderMax. Be right back. All right, let's do a quick walk around. The ThunderMax is installed. It is doing a firmware update as we speak, but everything else is ready to go. And as soon as we get the firmware updated, we will get this thing fired up. This takes about 10 minutes. So hang tight, I'll be right back. mufflers took over a totally different tone.
Yeah, it's got a different car.
All right, this thing turned out really nice. Mike seems to be real happy.
Hey guys.
Let's fire this thing up. Let you hear it. All right.